Hello everybody. Hi.
Ah,
Sorry for the 2-second delay. And thank you so much. You already know who it is. It's your host, that proud Black woman. And I promise you that I'm going to be bringing a guest for you today. And that's exactly what we're doing. So this is Chinelo Egbunonu. And I'm just going to be reading a little bit of her bio before I give her, the room to tell us a lot more about today's topic. How are you doing, though, Meg?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I am fine. How is Canada and Ottawa treating you?
Canada is treating me good. Where exactly I am in Canada, I like to keep it under the wraps. But
Oh,
Canada, thank you.
so thank you, people, for coming in. Please remember to give your host a thumbs up and share this link to your friends and family so they can join in uh, and have fun with us today. So today is a fantastic day. The weather is not as good as it was. I don't know how it is in Ottawa, but it was good yesterday and 2 days ago. But today is really windy.
Yeah,
So
it's a bit windy, but I mean, I think we're out of the double digits. I can't remember, but I know it's better than it's been for a long time. Then it got really warm, and now it's back to being cold. But it's okay. It's
yeah,
Canada. We're used to it.
I know, right? I think we might be finally out of the snowy weather for good.
I am done with winter. Like in my head, I'm almost ready for summer. Honestly, like I'm this close to wearing my bomb shorts and prancing around outside.
I
So
know, especially with this pandemic. It's
mhm.
it, it's crazy. All right, so uh, I'm just going to read a little bit of introduction of our guest today. So Chinelo began a law practice in Nigeria, where she was called to the bar in 2007. She built her practice in civil litigation, commercial transaction, and corporate governance while working in private sector and in-house roles for reputable institutions. She was a senior associate with the renowned Aluko and Oyebode LLP, known as the largest law firm in Nigeria and one of the most prestigious in the West African region. She completed a master's degree in business law at the Shoreditch Law School, Dalhousie University, Halifax in 2012 and qualified for practice with the Ontario Bar in 2018. Chinelo presently works as finance transaction counsel at the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, where she advises on deal structuring towards providing housing solutions for Canadians. Outside of work, she's an advocate for women empowerment in the society, sits on the board of Black Female Lawyers Network, Canada, and volunteers with the Black Business Law Clinic. She always mentors younger colleagues within and outside the profession and writes her own personal blog. So join me to welcome Chinelo.
Thank you for having me here. I'm so honored.
Thank you so much because I was so humbled when I asked you. It was short notice. Okay, so all of this came by on short notice, and you were the first person that came to my mind. And I thought, let me quickly get across and see if I can still make this Women's Day celebration happen. So, yeah, thank you so much. And we're just going to go a little bit into it. So, for those of you that are just joining us, so the topic of the day is reflecting on the successes of strong Black women. So we're just going to be, it's an informal meeting. So we're just going to be chatting. So feel free to leave a comment in the comment section and share this link. As I said, give a thumbs up. As you're coming in, just give us a thumbs up. So I have a couple of questions
Mhm.
and I just thought to start with this one. I know I just read your bio and it's really fantastic. It's like you've achieved a lot and I love to see strong Black women. Like that's what I aspire to. I wish to be like when I grew up, I guess. So the first question would be, tell us a little bit more about yourself, like something that we haven't seen in the professional bio. Let us know a little bit more about yourself and the challenges you faced. I know you are also an immigrant, just like me in Canada. The challenges you faced as a Black woman, as an immigrant, and how did you triumph to attain the current status that you have right now?
So about myself, something you don't know. I used to be a dancer.
Ooh,
Okay, but to be serious, I'll get to that later. Um, so as you read, I was called to the bar in Nigeria in 2007. My first sojourn into Canada was in 2012 when I came for my master's. And I've written about this before somewhere. I came very optimistic with my Nigerian swag. I am ready to, show
slay.
them the stuff I'm made of. Canada dragged me.
Yeah.
I honestly really wasn't ready. And I had culture shock. I had like, and then my program was so short. My program was supposed to be a year's master's, and I was done in 7 months. So I was just starting to get my way around, literally, when my program finished. So the pressure of the program, the culture shock, I was in a city where I was like, I had some family friends, but I didn't really have family. And I had been so used to doing things on my own, like practicing on my own and all that in Nigeria. So I didn't really tap into the family connections I had. So what he did was, in the moment I finished my program, I hung around for a couple of months. Job prospects were not the best. Most of the jobs I kept seeing, they kept telling me I was overqualified. And eventually, the only places that were willing to take me was Tim Hortons and Value Village, which are good places, honestly. But I remembered when I was walking the stage to collect my master's degree certificate, there were two black women, two Nova Scotian black women who were crying. And when I collected my certificates, they walked up to me and they said, "We have never seen a black female who is a lawyer, talk less of somebody who actually has her master's in law." So I remember that encounter has stayed with me so much that whenever I want to do, I was like, okay, so if I go to Value Village and I start working in Value Village with all of these accomplishments that I have, and then these women walk in, it wasn't a matter of, feeling proud. It was just a matter of their hearts being crushed. Their hopes is like some other people placing their hopes or their dreams and these are old women, right? So with that, I said, you know what? I did what the prodigal son did. I said, I'd rather go back, to my father's house where there is food. At least I can eat. So I went back to Nigeria, and it was a really, really tough period for me. I was really, really down. But I went back to Nigeria, I went back to the drawing board, and as God will have it, and as fate will have it, the area of law that I actually practice today, it was that short period of going back to Nigeria, staying back in Nigeria for a little bit, that I really got to solidify that knowledge of law. That was when I got into Alukane Bode, which is one place that I always talk about as where I feel like my career really, really, really took off. And this is not denigrating all of the earlier experience I had, all of the wonderful mentors and bosses I had earlier, but that was where I really, really got that experience that I wanted. So the second time I was going to come back to Canada in 2017, I came ready. Like, I started preparing, I think from 2015. I was really getting the moment I got my PR from 2015, I was getting my exam note, like the notes, the text. I was doing research. I reached out to, this time I did things differently. I leveraged on resources, human resources. I leveraged on my family members. I leveraged on my family friends who were here already. I had somebody who had gone through the process. She's an amazing, she's an in-law of mine, sort of. And, she's somebody I regard as probably my first law mentor here in Canada. And, she really, really took me through the process. She was not afraid to share her own failures, the places, the paths that she failed. She would tell me, listen, if you go this way, you will fail. I told her, I said, I was able to pass jam just once. I'll just go read the bar. Like, I won't even open the books. She said, you will fail. You are preparing to fail. So, I really, really listened to her. I did a lot of research. I did a lot of groundwork. So by the time I came in 2017, I hit the ground, like I was ready. I hit the ground running, and I was really looking for volunteering places and all of that. At the moment I was done with my exams, it then became a matter of, okay, should I do articling? Should I get exemption? I wanted to do articling, but then the kind of places I wanted to article based on the experience I had, they were telling me, you'd probably have to wait for like 2 years. I was like, ain't nobody got time for that. I don't have that time. So I said, you know what, I'll go for an exemption, but what I will do, the experience I would have gotten through articling, I will get it through volunteer. So I literally went downtown Toronto. I was going from office to office, and that was how I mistakenly, walked into Pro Bono Ontario. I knocked on their door and I said, listen, I want to volunteer. And the guy there looked at me and he said, okay, we'll get back to you. And he called me, I think 2 days later, and said, a position just opened. Are you ready to start tomorrow? I said, done. And that was how I started with Pro Bono Ontario. And then I also volunteered with my brother's company, providing business law advice as well. But what it did for me was that the experience that I did not get doing articling here, I was able to get it through my volunteering. And, there were days when the project manager for Pro Bono Ontario, who is a paralegal, he would sit me down and take me through like processes, court processes and everything. By the time I was meeting those things in my barrister's exam, like literally it was a walkover because I had done a lot of those in my volunteering. And, the same things I had heard then saying, nobody's going to, people don't like hiring immigrants. And then you're a Black immigrant and you're a Black female immigrant. I would hide my rings whenever I was going for an interview because they'll be like, oh, she'll soon get married or something and she'll soon have a baby. So you'd see me taking off my rings. You see me going for interviews and taking off my braids, wearing my European wig and all of that we had to do. I had to switch my first name with my middle name. A lot of sacrifices that, a lot of immigrants go through, Black people go through coming here. And I just didn't want to settle for less. Having my own law firm is something that I aspire to eventually, who knows, sometime in the future. But then it just seemed like nobody's going to hire you, so just do that. I wanted to do this. I was like, if I'm going to start my own business, it's going to be because I want to, not because there was not. So I said, you see those, I said, I'm going to break that thing. If not jazz, we go spoil, we go break them. We will enter there and we'll get to the top. We'll throw the ladder down and others will come up, So for me, I was really, really about breaking that glass ceiling. And it was quite difficult because I kept looking around for, people who had gone the path I wanted to go to, immigrants who had come in and have been able to get into either big law but the kind of law that I wanted to practice and kind of organizations I wanted. It was a bit difficult for me to find those kind of people, but eventually I was able to tap into other resources. I had support from the Black Female Lawyers Network, and that's why I volunteer with them now. When I was a student member, I had sisters in the network who would just literally just say, you know what, come and hang out, let's go for dinner, let's go for breakfast, and they would just lift up my spirits. And some of the sisters, they're not even Nigerian actually. Their parents were probably from the West Indies, but they could relate because they also had parents who were immigrants. And it just really, really encouraged me to say, you know what, I think I can do better. And I'm so thankful for, the journey. I'm thankful for everything I've learned along the way. And I'm thankful for where I am now. So, and then back to what I started initially. Yes, I used to be a dancer when I was in university, but that's my past life.
That's cool. I thank you for sharing everything you just shared. So I'm also a lawyer, as you know, and I've also gone through like a couple of things you're talking about, but right now you can see I'm making notes from everything you're saying because I'm also in that boat of what next. Because right now I'm not actually working as a lawyer because I started my current job as, okay, I will just be doing this until I get a job in the legal field. But then 5 years later, I'm still there. And I just got qualified in 2020 as well, August 2020. My plan was throughout. Thank you. So when I started talking about qualifying here in Canada, I started the process in 2017 with NCAs, and I registered, but I didn't actually start because I was always busy with work, and then I'm a mother and all of that. So in 2019, I decided, I was on mat leave. So I said, rather than sit at home for 1 year and do absolutely nothing, then go back to the same life I was living before, I rather take that time to study and read. So I started doing that, and then I actually did qualify for the law. But my problem was before the pandemic started, I thought I was going to article, regardless of the experience I had before, because I wanted to have Canadian experience, because people had told me it was going to be like a stumbling block. First of all, you're Black, you're a woman, you're an immigrant for that, and you have an accent, right?
Mhm.
So I was thinking,
Everybody has an accent.
yeah, like you have like, you know how
The
that's the
African
truth.
accent,
Because
yeah.
Canadians, I remember when I was in Europe, because I lived in Europe before, Canadians that come there, they also have an accent that people would laugh at
Yes.
them. So
Mhm.
wherever you go, you're gonna have an accent. So I don't know why it's a problem, but I have an accent, I have this and I have that. So all of that way in my head, I said, I have to do articling so that when I do articling and I'm able to prove myself to these people, then maybe I will get retained to work there, right?
Mhm.
Or even if I don't get retained, I can go somewhere else and find a job with that 1 year experience. But then March, I was supposed to do my exams. And after doing the barrister exam, solicitor got cancelled because of the pandemic. I was going crazy. So at this point, I had already said 2020 is the year. I have to get
Mhm.
everything. So when it was June, I said, you know what? Forget this stuff. I'm going to
Yeah.
get an exemption. So that's what I did. I got an exemption. But then when I got an exemption, it got approved within a week. So it was like,
Mhm.
oh God, so what next? Because now I'm a lawyer. What am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the plan. I thought I would do
Yeah.
articling to 2021. And then from
Mhm.
2021, I will start looking for a job. So I got
Mhm.
stuck. And then I got this pressure from people always asking, oh, now you're a lawyer. So what's
What
next? What
what
next?
next?
I'm like, can you just stop doing that? Because it was freaking me out. Like I said, you don't know you're putting pressure on me. It's so much pressure.
Yeah.
Everybody start to ask that. And at that point, I started having the pressure, what am I going to do next? Where can I apply next? And I don't have this experience. Like it was freaking me out. At some point, I said, you know what? Calm down. When the time comes, because then I started thinking about people started asking me, you can start your own. A lot of people started, I don't want to start my own
Yeah.
yet. I don't feel comfortable enough to start
So
my own practice
you
yet.
know what? Let me just butt in here because of time and just say, you know what? We're going to take this outside, and both of us, like, listen, I'm just a phone call away. So all of
Yeah,
this, trust
yeah.
me, you're going to be
Talk
fine. But
about
we're
it.
going to take this outside, and we're definitely going to continue this conversation. So it's a good thing that we got it started, and you're not alone. That's one thing
Yeah,
out there, and anybody else who's out there.
yeah. So my second question to you is a little bit of what we've talked about when I called you to ask you if you could come up on my live. So
Mhm.
it's in line with the topic of our discussion today. We have
Mhm.
highlighted like four strong Black women who made their marks and against all odds have been successful in their various fields. First of all, Cicely Tyson, God rest her soul, she just passed on in
Mhm.
January. Kamalaharris, the Vice President of the US, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, our very own Nigerian, who is now the Director General of World Trade Organization, and
Mhm.
Beyonce. Everybody knows Beyonce.
I
So
pledge allegiance to her. Queen.
yeah, I actually got that one from you. I was like, when we started talking, I said, well,
How
you.
do you talk about Black women and now talk of my Beyonce, my sister,
So I
my
was like,
first?
yeah. I had to add this one to it. So can you talk a little bit about these women and what lessons we can learn and apply in our daily lives as Black women and as women of color?
So let me start by saying, first of all, and I had that conversation with somebody recently, and I said, every woman, particularly every Black woman, is a strong woman. Because the concept of just being a woman in a world that apparently the systems in place were not really created to favor you from the get-go. Yet you're here, you're thriving, you are a strong woman. That is first and foremost. And then for Black women especially who are immigrants like me, and you're like, regardless of what you're doing, if you're a cleaner or whatever, you're a strong woman. You have to go through those cramps every month that
Mhm.
put some people in hospital, yet you have to work. You have to go through labor. You have to carry pregnancies. Some women do it 10 times. And then you still have people like, Beyonce and co who do all of these. And you still have to go to work like me. You're a strong woman already. Even if you don't do that, if like Kamala, you decide, you know what, I'm not going to have biological children, but then you're breaking barriers in a world that was in systems that were not created with you in mind as a Black woman. You're a strong woman. So
Yeah.
we're all strong Black women, but these four people that we just decided to touch on, I'm just going to pick like their bio is all there on the internet, and we can't stay too long. But let me just start with Cicely Tyson. Cicely Tyson, I am ashamed to say that I didn't know her for so long. Of course, I didn't grow up in Black America. I didn't grow up in North America. So I didn't really, but the first time I knew her was in Madia's family reunion. And I was like, oh, okay. She has a really, really strong, persona and a strong voice. And I also I enjoyed watching her in How to Get Away with Murder. And it made me go to look at her profile. And I was like, this kind of person should have been swimming in Oscars, swimming in Golden Globes, swimming in Emmy, like, why was she not swimming in awards? And one of the things that she lived by in her lifetime, which has stuck with me, is she refused to settle.
Exactly.
It may not really make sense if you don't live here in North America, but if you're a Black woman, there are some roles, maybe now because of Black Lives Matter movement, things are beginning to open. But over time, there were roles that, they are presumed, like, it's naturally taken for granted that, Black people, this is what you do, or this is what you have to go through. And Cicely Tyson said, I am not taking any of those stereotypical roles for Black women. I'm not going to be a prostitute in a movie. I'm not going to be a drug addict. Basically, Blaxploitation movies, she said no. She just said no. And this was the period around or just after the civil rights movement in the United States of America. So I can imagine that there were not so many opportunities for her. Not like, how was she even feeding? For her to say, you know what, I'm going to take only roles that glorify me as a Black woman. And it really, really speaks to me, because part of what I just spoke about when, everybody, most of the advice I got, and it came from a good place, really, because here you have to pay your bills. And everybody's like, you know what, take something and just start. And I tell people that sometimes you don't have to do that. But even in just taking something or taking anything, I wasn't going to settle. I wasn't going to take anything that was going to demean me per se, because I thought, so if I take something now and I stay, what if I get stuck? And then, like I say, that ceiling, I become a statistic. I was so paranoid of being a statistic that my paranoia almost, like, it scared me a lot, but then it pushed me. I said, listen, I am not going to be a statistic, whatever it would take, like, and I'm very, very grateful to God that happened. So Cicely Tyson, for me, that's the takeaway from her life, the fact that she refused to settle. She said, nope, I'm not doing this, I'm not taking this, and that's that on that. Should we go to the next person, or do you react?
Yeah, so most of the thing is, you touched on most of the things that I also admire about her. The most important is the fact that she refused to settle. So I had a video that I made like two weeks ago about strong Black people, and she was one of the people that I talked about. And that was like the very important thing that I found out. Before her death, I never actually looked into like what she had done, but I just know her in movies like Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Yeah. So, but I loved her, and the fact that she's been in the movie industry since the 50s, I think, and she always turned out like stereotypical roles.
70 years.
Yeah.
She's been in the movie. She's been in the movie industry for 70 years, actually.
Yeah. So it's really great, and that was like what my take home, like my key takeaway from her life, like never settle and never just accept anything just because you want to move by. And yeah really great.
Anyway, so the next for Kamalaharris, I mean, we all know Kamala. I'm sure she's probably one of the most Googled leaders of the world right now. Sorry, there's some background noise. You can hear. I literally live at one of the busiest intersections in the city. It's a really, really beautiful place, but then we get noises like this. So yeah. So for Kamalaharris, I think for me, the takeaway is the fact that I look at her career. I see that she really, really started from the bottom. She started as a prosecutor, like just like in Nigeria, Ministry of Justice, right? You're just doing your thing. You're just minding the business that pays you. And for me, it's just that consistency, the fact that she just kept, even as a prosecutor, everybody kept saying the same thing about her. She's really, really diligent. She does her research. She does her homework. the takeaway for me is that in a world where, it's all about the bling, right now everybody is on TikTok, Snap, like everybody is their own trumpets.
Yeah.
It's easy to get away with, a lot of facade. In that kind of world, it is still really important to stick to the substance. Like, for all your being out there, make sure that your substance, you're building your substance, and your substance is whatever you do, not just as a lawyer, even as an actor, as an actress, as a movie star. You may have the pretty face and everything. You may be able to get the 300 million followers on Instagram. You may even be an influencer. But then if you want to actually keep being identified as an actor, as an actress, then you need to still do your homework. Make sure you get the roles. Make sure your agents are out there. Make sure you're doing your trainings, and you're nailing every role that you get. So your craft is the main thing, and then every other thing is like the cherry on top. And it speaks to me personally, right? Like, outside of law, I do, like, if you did not know me, my work life, you would not know that I am even a lawyer, because I keep my work life and my personal life and my social media life, like, they are very, 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 very separate. When I am at work, I'm a totally different persona. But then I do that because for me, I always ask myself, what is the priority? What is important? I remember when I danced at my call to bar, and I just danced. I just danced literally.
I love that one.
By the next day, everywhere, like all of the blogs, people were reaching out. It was a lot. I was like, oh my God. And then people were like, you know what? You should probably open a YouTube channel. You should. And I was tempted to. I was like, okay. So what do I do with this fame? And then I had to go back and sit down with the community in my head, and we had a meeting, and we said, what exactly do you want to do? Do you want to be a YouTuber? I don't want to be like YouTube. This thing you're doing, it is not easy.
Yeah.
Trust me. I run a blog, and I know how difficult. I have some support from a very good friend who, does my graphics, and sometimes he pushes out posts. He pushes out the aesthetics of it. But it's not easy to be a creative, and I had gotten to that point in my life where, what did I want? What I want after, like, remove all of the razzmatazz and all of that. Your girl just wants to do law. Law is my first love. So what it meant for me was that for all my getting, I had to keep getting the substance in my law practice. So that's my takeaway from Kamalaharris. The fact that, your eyes, even if you're starting from small, starting from today, just keep building your craft, keep being the best in what you do. And, those little blocks you're building today, eventually they will build up like a game of dominoes, and down the line, you'll be the better for it. When the chips are really down, those things will come in handy. So, yep, that's it for me for Kamalaharris.
So yeah, you really touched on really good points. Like, keep at whatever you're doing, even if you start small, you can build it into something magnificent if you just keep at it. Don't listen to the noises in the background, right? So keep at what you're doing and be diligent, and you're gonna get the best of. So that's really powerful, and that's something that I would also be noting down so that I can have in my life. And I'll advise everybody watching now to put that at their back pocket as a tool, like put it in your toolbox. So yeah. So the next person, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. If you don't know her, you can Google her. If you're not Nigerian, she's
in my mind. Ngozi Okonjo is my auntie. She's Auntie Ngozi, Auntie Ngo.
Of course. Did you see my photo that I made? I was like,
I've been following. The funny thing is, I have been following Auntie Ngo for a long, not even today. Like, she and Obieze Kwesili, and at some point Aruma Ote. Actually, the three of them, they are women who have been speaking to me, like, and every time I feel daunted, I look at these women. It was one of the motivations really for me moving back to Canada, because I felt like there is so much more out there in the world. Like, I was doing okay in Nigeria, very comfortable job, amazing place that I was working in. But I just figured that, there is a space. I mean, aside from the security issues, which weren't even that bad when I moved here, honestly, there is a world space out there. Like, there's so much we can achieve outside that cocoon that we are in. And this woman, Auntie Ngozi, has really, really, she has shattered so many ceilings, being the first Black woman to head
Yeah.
the World Trade. I think the first African woman. I'm not sure if she's the
African,
first
no,
Black woman.
African at all. They never
Yeah,
had any African, and I think she's also the first woman. I think
the first woman.
one,
Okay, so
yeah,
then that means she's the first Black woman as well.
first Black woman and first
Um,
African.
I can talk on so many things about her career, but I want to allude to, there was a time she was a minister in Nigeria and she resigned. I think she was either the finance minister or the foreign affairs minister. I think it was under President Olusegun Obasanjo. And she resigned. She resigned from that. I think it was under Goodluck Jonathan or Olusegun Obasanjo. I can't remember. I know she's been a minister severally under all their regimes. But there was a particular regime that she was the minister. I think it was Olusegun Obasanjo. That noise again. Apologies. And she resigned because, according to her, she was being asked to, do things that she wasn't willing to do. And for me, the takeaway from her is integrity, a life of integrity. I mean, at that time, I can imagine she was at the pinnacle of what was considered success. And success is really subjective, because today you may feel like you're on top of the world, but 10 years time, when you look at that place where you realize that, girl, you are nothing. But at that time, it seemed like she was on top of the world, like she was at the pinnacle of success. And for you to just resign, I am sure people must have told her, it's like your village people, they're clapping for you and you're dancing, She turned down the position at some point and resigned because it was going against her personal principles. I think the takeaway from me here is there has to be a line. And in my life, my work life, my personal life, there's usually a line, right? So long as whatever it is keeps dancing outside of that line, it's okay. But the moment that line begins to be crossed, like I've had to draw lines and draw boundaries and say, okay, this is as far as I will go, or this is as much as I will take. Just like the other women we've talked about, Cicelytyson and Kamalaharris, it's not okay to just go about accepting whatever is thrown to you, or whatever, you have to do this just because you have to. No, you do not have to do it. I've been in an employment where I am told, oh, everybody, does this, and I'm like, but it goes against my rights as my constitutional rights. So what are you guys on about? You have to explain to me why. And eventually I did not do that. Every other person was subjected to do it, but I did not do it because it went against and they knew it went against my rights. So I refused to do that, and I wasn't penalized for it, and I left when I wanted to. So for me, the takeaway from Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala really is that in the interim, in the short run, saying no to something may be heartbreaking, but it is the right thing. Just stick with it and just do it. In the long term, it will pay out, and it will pay out for good. So that's my takeaway from her.
Yeah, that's really good. The way you analyzed it and me thinking about it, I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because what I notice is a lot of times when you have a first female somewhere, it's not because they are really interested in putting the female there, it's because they're looking for who they can control. And I think that was what happened with Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. When they put her there, they thought, well, we'll be able to control this one and tell her whatever we want. She'll be a figurehead. But she was like, no, I ain't doing that, because she has integrity and she has
today.
Yeah. So she was like, you're not going to do that with me. So I'll rather leave. And that's the important thing. Like the same thing with Cicelytyson. She wasn't going to take anything less just because you want to succeed. Because as you said, success is subjective. So what is success to some people is just making money. So far you keep your mouth shut and you get the money, that's it. But for some people, they like their integrity. They want to be able to make a meaningful difference. And that's my takeaway from Ngozi: integrity and actually committing to make a meaningful difference in our community. So yeah, that's what I think as well. So thank you for sharing that with us.
No problem. And then for
Beyonce,
I am a shameless Beyonce stan. You can insult me, you can harass me. I love Beyonce, and there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing you two can do about it. But to be very frank, like I could literally write a book on Beyonce. I think my obsession with Beyonce is more or less, whenever I say this, my cousins laugh. I say, Beyonce and I, we grew up together. So I grew up on her music. Like in secondary school, I danced to Independent Woman. I danced like those were songs that I mined to, right? To Independent when she was with Destiny's Child. I think what trips me about Beyonce and Beyonce's what trips me about her every time is I have seen her growth. If there ever was a lesson for, so I am also a Christian and I'm a believer, and there's some things from the Bible that I always, some principles that, stay with me. And my favorite is line upon line, precept upon precept, a little here, a little there. Whenever I am confused about anything else, that is one thing that I hold on to. And basically what it means is, you know what, that thing you're doing, be diligent in it. Even the same Bible says it, that show me a man who is diligent in his ways. Like that, whatever it is, no matter how small, if you're cleaning floors, be the best floor cleaner there is. If you're washing plates, be the best plate washer. If you're blogging, be the best. Don't just do things because everybody is doing it. And for me, that's Beyonce. Beyonce started like, she's an OG. She started, if you even go through like her biography, you see that she was in singing shows. She was going from place to place already as a kid and all of that. And then when she started when they started in Destiny's Child, if you listen to her voice, if you've gone through the different eras of her music, from her Destiny Child days to her Dangerously in Love days to her pop phase, when she did the whole Sasha Fierce, to when she began to come out to her real self, knowing herself as a Black woman, the Lemonade phase and all of that. You see her growth. The fact that she had a very shrill voice. She built the kind of depth in her tone. She wasn't just like, she may have sang I Woke Up Like This, but she definitely did not wake up like that. She's done lots and lots and lots of training. But above that, what hits me about Beyonce every time is Beyonce's work ethic is something else. Like, and in her homecoming video, when that homecoming video, I remember when it came out in, I think 2019 in April. I think it was even on my birthday that I was watching it for the first time. I was actually crying because I was like, the attention to detail. And Beyonce will tell you that she cannot even she cannot condone the slightest indication of mediocrity. Everything she does, it has to be done to a T. And in all of these that's happening, she's dealing with the fact that she's a colored woman, she's a Black woman, actually. Some people tend to say, okay, because she's a lighter skinned Black woman, but she's still a Black woman. There were a lot of ceilings, a lot of things that she had to do, as the first. And she didn't really have a lot of ready role models at that time to tap into. Yes, there were people who had done similar things, but the kind of entertainer she wanted to be, there were not so many Black women who had successfully achieved that. And her very first album that she released, Dangerously in Love, when she brought it to the people who were supposed to be her producers, then they told her, they said, oh no, this is going to fail. They canceled out everything. And she said, you know what, I'm going to push this out on my own. She believed in herself first. And it goes to the point that, listen, you must be your own cheerleader first, though. Like, you have to go to the mirror every morning and gas yourself up and tell, see, I am wonderful. Nobody has been made like me before. I am the best. Because if you wait for the world people will not give, like, people will know, yes, you are good, but it may come from a place of inferiority. It may come from a place of mediocrity. It may even come from a place of inability to appreciate the excellence. And if you wait for world people, you would not do anything. Beyonce did not wait for world people.
Yeah. She
believed in herself, her work ethic. Beyonce doesn't, like, you see this whole, she doesn't listen. That's something that I look at Beyonce, I'm like, if Beyonce does not say pimp, they've called her a witch. They said she's a member of Illuminati. Like, eventually she made a song where she was like, you're also conning with that Illuminati mess that you guys are talking about. But that was about it. Like, she's not going to, stop whatever she's doing because she thinks she's Illuminati. And she's a trailblazer. Man, what she did at Super Bowl, that was the first time that Black culture was celebrated on the world scale. And she knew the boycotts came in. They said, oh, she's talking down police, go against, like, they tried to boycott, and there have been some boycotts. She hasn't gotten as many awards since. You hear people say things like, I like Beyonce before she really went into, like, she kind of went dark with, like, the Lemonade. What do you mean by she went dark? Because she started thinking about her culture and the things that, do you understand? So when people say, oh, God, like, I used to like Beyonce. Used to. It's okay. She too, she used to like it. It's okay. But she stuck to her God. She stayed to her truth. And now all of a sudden, everybody is like, oh my God, diversity, diversity, brown skin girls are the best, Beyonce's, whatever. Do you understand? Now, all the things she was thinking about, they're now becoming mainstream. But when they were not even mainstream, she was really, pushing it out there. So Beyonce is one person, like I said, I could literally write a book about her, and oh my God, I'm hoping that one day she will just recognize that I'm her cousin. I'm her long lost cousin. She doesn't know that she has, and we'll have to together so that I can hug her. But Beyonce, my spirit animal, like her work ethic speaks to me, her professionalism speaks to me, her inability to condone the slightest bit of mediocrity speaks to me, her trailblazing, her refusal to be bogged down by what people are saying, her understanding that her vision, that thing she wants for the future, it's in her head. She has already visualized it. The fact that whatever she touches turns to gold. It's those are things that for me, I personally learn from her, and I pick from her, and I imbibe from her. So
So so with Beyonce, I don't have you already said a lot about her, and pretty much I'm learning so much about her from you as well. All I know about Beyonce before is she's really, like, she's a strong Black woman. She's doing really great with her music, with her career, with her family, and learning from you now, I see that it's really important, like, to put your work ethic, no matter where you're working, even if you're working in McDonald's, if you're cleaning the floors, always have that work ethic. Let people know you. If you go to that proud Black woman, this is what she'll be doing, and exactly that's what you're gonna see there. So that's one thing that I probably have in common with her as well, because I always believe in this adage that says whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. So even if I'm not happy with what I'm doing at that moment, maybe because I'm not yet practicing as a lawyer, because maybe in my head I want to have been practicing since 1862, but I'm not there yet. Whatever I'm doing now, I still put in my best. People know me for that. At least I think people know me for that. But that's what I want people to know about me, and that's what I want everybody also to have. So if you don't like it, don't stay there. Leave it. If you're there, be in with your hand, with your feet, with your head, with your entire being. Do the best you can, and then you will reap the fruit of it later. So so that's really interesting to talk about these people, and I hope people have been able to learn one thing or the other. So at the end of this, I still have 2 more questions. I'm sorry I'm taking a lot of your time, but I have 2 more questions, and after that, I don't know if people have any questions for you, and then we can take that, and then that will be it. I'm so sorry I'm taking your time. So now that my next question is the theme of this year's International Women's Day is choose to challenge, and I wanted to know, what does that mean to you?
Okay, so let me just drop this here for those who are logged in live, just in case, because I have other commitments. So if we're not able to wrap up, I may have to literally just drop everything and disappear. But choose to challenge. I choose to challenge stereotypes against women, and particularly, I choose to challenge the stereotype that women do not help women. It's a stereotype from the pit of hell. People say, okay, but women are fighting against women. Joe Biden and Trump, which of them were women? Men fight men all the time. Julius Caesar, who stabbed him? It was Brutus. Who betrayed Jesus and crucified him? It was Judas and the men in the Roman army. So my point really is that men also kill men. Men kill women. Women kill men. Humans kill humans. Why? Because humans must human. So humans will do what they have to do. Like, humans have issues with fellow humans, but to them brand it as, oh, women and women. Hell no. It's a stereotype that I fight with. And the reason, for me personally, at every point of my career, I have seen women help me. And this is not to say that I've not had male helpers. I have had male helpers. But for me, where the female helpers have been different, I have had women advocate for me in ways that, that thing that they say, oh, we're emotional, that passion, because it's actually passion that they couch it negatively as being emotional. But women have advocated for me. I remember when my master's, I almost, because I couldn't get my visa on time, my scholarship was almost revoked. It was somebody who has schooled in the university with. She was a year my junior back in undergrad. She was the one that advocated for me and said, I know this person, we were in school together, she would be a good candidate, renew her scholarship. I remember even, moving from when I came back to Nigeria and I was job searching for a while. The bank that I went to, first of all, I worked for a while. It was a woman. I literally walked up to her and I said, good evening. I heard that you're the company secretary of this bank and everything. I've admired you from afar. I would like to work with you. And she said, okay, come and see me in my office. And literally that was it. And I remember even when I moved from there to A&O, it was a woman that advocated for me and got me that position. Like, I've had women, my present job now, but this is me. I'm not talking about other people. My present job in my career, all my referees were women. And my boss tells me that each of the persons he called, that the passion with which they spoke about me, he could not have it's something that I think of, and this is not to denigrate my own hard work, but I just know that I have been helped so many times by women, even in my family. When I was writing my exams, I would have like my sister-in-law, my cousin-in-law, people just lifting me up. I've had women support me at every turn. And then I told you I'm a director of Black Female Lawyers Network, and I've had those women tell me, you can do this, you can, we are hailing you and all of that. So that stereotype of women kill women, like I said, is from the pit of hell. It is a stereotype that, and I choose to challenge all stereotypes, but particularly that one. Yes, humans have issues with humans, but like I just pointed out to you, men who kill themselves, the person who killed JF Kennedy, they're likely to be men. So I'm just pointing out to say that people have issues. Men also have issues. Women have issues with each other because they are humans first. But we as women, we're not our enemies. We have our superpower. Our superpower is our passion, the fire that we have. That is what makes us go up there and throw down the ladder to others to make sure that we lift them up, right? So this International Women's Day, that's what I choose to challenge. Negative stereotypes, especially women don't support women.
Yes. And Moyo here said, Meg, na true lawyer, with an analogy of who killed Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's the truth, right? So I feel like all of those come from the patriarchal system of trying to keep women down and turning us against women. Because most of these things that have happened, even the coup plotters, most of them have always been men. But we're not here to talk about men today. We're here to focus on the strength of what we choose to challenge so we can get better in the near future. So now the final question of all is, this is just like you giving us your final thoughts and giving us your advice on, for example, people always thinking that as women, we might not be able to make it, especially in this part of the world. If you're an immigrant, if you're Black, you might not be able to make it. So my question is, what's your advice? What advice would you give Black women and women of color that are out there who might be worried that their chances of succeeding are very slim?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are a lot of things that I can say. I'll start with saying one, don't settle. If you have an idea, that picture in your head of what you want your future to look like, hold on to it. If you need to print out, you need to visualize, you need to print it out or write it out somewhere, write the vision so you can run with it. If you need to, get it out. And for me, it was a thing. I had a short-term, mid-term, long-term vision of what I wanted my life to be. I wrote them out a long time ago, like 15 years ago, when I just got called to the bar about 14 years ago. And, as time went on, every time I'd start losing it, every time I'd be like, okay, maybe I should branch, maybe I should do HR instead. I come back to that vision board and I'll be like, but you say you wanted to be a lawyer, you want to practice, So I would say, yes, it's hard, but don't settle. And you're like, but if I don't settle, then how do I get opportunities? Blah, 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 blah. Which takes me to my next point. Be intentional. Being intentional means it's unfortunate that we don't have the luxury to just, chill, like because of the skin color or the fact that you're immigrant, you have to walk the extra mile. But it is what it is right now. We hope to change that. We're hoping that more policies will be passed by governments and all that to make it easier. But right now, it is what it is. And what it means is you do not have the luxury to be casual, right? Like a mentor told me a long time ago that to get to where others are not getting, you'd have to do things that others are not doing and make sacrifices that others are not making. And that's stuck with me like forever till today. So a lot of times, whatever I do, whatever I say, wherever I appear in, there are some interviews or talks that I'm invited to and I politely decline because I look at my long-term goals, the bigger picture, and I'm like, nah, this does nothing for where I'm going to, or this does not say anything to my personal brand. So I see myself as a brand. It may look like, oh, people just wake up and, oh, they're just like that. No, I am very intentional. I am very, very, like I said, all of these women we talked about, Beyonce particularly, she's somebody that I have studied. I don't just listen to her music. I study whenever anything happens, I watch her body language. I'm like, what is she going to do? Why is she not talking? That's being intentional. That's her being intentional. For me, I have to be intentional. As a Black person, especially, it's you don't even have the luxury of somebody presses your buttons and you just flip. Next thing, the angry Black woman or angry Black person follows you. So that means a lot of times, even when you vex, you have to be intellectual with your vexing. Do you understand? So that's why you can send emails like, unfortunately, it hurts me, but I'll be unable to attend to this at this time. But kindly come back another thing, instead of saying thunder fire you, which is the first thing like just want to say, see, thunder fire you, and everybody coming your lineage. But you're like, because you have to be intentional. You can't just be out there being just regular, right? So I would say don't settle for less. Be intentional. Tap into your networks. Your network is the next person. Your network is, I remember moving to this city and not knowing anybody. I knew just one person, and that one person has grown to be a village. When I was moving apartment, like that one person was like having 7 people, honestly. And every day she has stayed with me. But the first time I came to Canada, that's 2012, and that's the difference between my first coming and my second coming. See me sounding like Jesus Christ. My second coming was, the first time, yes, I was independent and everything. There's a line between being independent and just being stupid. So I think I crossed that first time of probably being stupid, right? But the second time, I was independent and all of that. But at the same time, I leveraged my brother, my sister-in-law, my cousins, like everybody I had here. When I was looking for a job, I would go to church and literally my first job that I got as a lawyer, I got it through someone that was not even a lawyer. She got a job with an organization that was doing the kind of thing, project finance and all of that. And I was like, hey, that's kind of my background. And we got talking, and next thing she's like, oh, there's an opportunity. And it just went like that. So everywhere I went to, I was leveraging networks. I was networking like crazy. You have to network. You have to, tap into whatever networks you have. Be a part of a community. We have a saying in Africa that a broomstick stands by itself. It's easier to break it as against when you sweep. And then they say something about, I think if a pack of, I don't know whether it's cows or something, or pack of something, they are moving together, it's more difficult for a lion to come and remove one, as against when one is going by itself. You need to plug in, we know you're independent and all that, and by all means, please don't lose your independence, but you still need a community. Even Beyonce, Madam Independent, she has a community. She has a mom, she has a husband, trust me when I say she has a network. So everybody needs a community. You need a network. Tap into a network. Look for find your tribe, people who know you for who you are, who value you, and stay with them and tap into those networks. And above all, I'll say just keep your head up. Keep your head up. Whatever you're going through, trust me when I say it's temporary. Use your mind or whatever it is. If you're Christian like me, if you pray and go to fellowship and all that, if you're not Christian, if you're another religion, or you're even atheist, if you believe in something, just be positive and keep your head up. And remember, when you get up there or when you get out there, remember how cold it was when you were climbing up. And then for me, this ties back to, remember when you said, you sent me an invite at the last minute. So my social media notifications are off. And what it means is, if I don't actually enter into my inbox, I may not see a message. Sometimes people think I don't want to do it, but that's how it is. So when I did see your message, and I told you, I said it would be very tight for me because I have a lot, but I go out of my way on LinkedIn. I get, and I'm not kidding, in a week, probably like 12, I am fixing chats, meetings, lawyers wanting to move to Nigeria, and sometimes it can be so stressful and all of that. But then I always remember how I used to feel when that was me. When I was on the streets and the streets were cold, I remember how it felt. So it's one of the things that motivates me to, as much as possible, when people need my help, if I can't give the help, although I'm careful also not to be manipulated or to be taken advantage of, but where I can give the help, go out of my way and, do what I can do in my own way. So it's the same advice I would give also, that this thing you're going through, it will definitely pass. But when you do get up there, do not forget the other ones out there. And don't be so comfortable to forget how cold the streets are and then start saying things like, well, people should just pull themselves by the bootstraps, blah, blah, which can be reasonable, but in most times it's to make sense. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
So much. Thank you so much. So just to recount what you've said with this, that people out there that are thinking that they might not be able to make it, or it's going to be very difficult, be a part, make sure that you write down your own vision. Write down, what do you want your long-term, your mid-term, your short-term to be. Write it down and work towards it. Then be intentional with your brand. Be intentional with how you behave, what you do, and how you want to build your brand, how you want people to know you, and how you want your brand to be later on down the line. Because if you ruin it from the beginning, it's really, really difficult to repair it. So it's easier to build than repair. And then tap into your network. So there's a difference between being stupid and being
being independent and stupid.
I've been there, done that, so I can understand that. Be a part of a community. Don't be a standalone.
There is no shame in saying I am looking for a job. I'm looking for it to article. That was me. I wasn't ashamed of it. It was so bad that there was a day that I had a chat with a partner, a Black partner. She was like, "Oh yes, we've seen your CV floating around in the Black Partners Network on Bay Street," and I was like, "Oh wait." That means I had talked to so many people. My CV was circulating, right? I wasn't taking over and like I would knock and knock and knock, and I'd move on, but I just kept going. And basically that's what I'm saying. Like, don't be ashamed to reach out and try and get help when you can. Focus on building relationships. So not just, oh, I want a job now. Okay, the person didn't give me a job. Boom, that's it. No, you need to build that relationship, because you literally don't know tomorrow. And it's a small community. People will have to stake their integrity for you at some point, right? For them to take that integrity, they need to have known you for a while. And that was what happened to me. Like, my present job, they needed referees from Canada. When did I land here? But it turns out that, people I had volunteered with, I had worked with, they were willing to make a case for me and say, oh yes, we know this person on our personal guarantee, our personal integrity. And, that's a huge deal here, right? So you need to focus on, even as you're leveraging and you're talking about, oh, I'm looking for a job, also focus on building relationships, not just on the immediate thing that you want at that time.
Okay. So and then all right. And then keep your head up, really important. And when you finally get up there, remember how cold the street was. So that's really, really powerful. Always try to pay it forward, help other people as well. So don't get there, be comfortable, forget about other people. Try to make an impact, give back to the community, give back to the society that helped you to get up there. So these are really powerful. I really, really thank you for all of this. And I don't know if anybody has any question for our guest before she goes to our other engagements. So if
you're actually a very great listener, and I thank you so much for having me. And thank you for letting me interrupt you and not sending me that thunder fire you.
It's really good to learn, because at the end of the day, like, I've learned so much from this, and as I said, I'm taking notes because I want to apply that to my own self and to be a better version of me. So maybe my CV also will be floating around.
We're going to have our own session later anyway, so that's
At
fine.
some point. So one important thing I wanted to point out, I know with your time where you were doing all of this, it was easier to go from person to person. But now due to the pandemic, there's something called virtual networking. Guys, leverage that. Okay.
Yep.
I actually have like an email that I composed that I send to people on LinkedIn and all of that, and try to talk to them to maybe if they could mentor me or anything like that. And then I try to keep up with them. Sometimes I just check in to say hi so that it doesn't look like every time you just want something. So that's really important. Leverage your virtual network in this time of the pandemic. So that's it from me. If anybody has a question, please put it in there. Otherwise, our host has to go anytime soon. And I can stay a little bit more if somebody wants to chat with me. I will say maybe 5 more minutes before we end this live. So thank you so much, Chinelo. I hope someday I'll be able to bring you to talk about a different thing entirely. But right now, you gave us the best. It was fantastic. I had fun. I can't believe an hour just.
I know we have just an hour, right?
Yeah, we did. It was supposed to be like a 30 minutes thing, but I stole your.
I know. That's me. I just once I start talking, you cannot stop me. I have to keep going. I am so sorry, but it
I
is what
enjoyed
it is.
every bit of it, and I know a lot of people enjoyed it as well. So I wanted to take this opportunity. So tomorrow, I don't know if anybody has heard about the Megan and Ari interview. So tomorrow, I'm going to be having a live. It was like impromptu. We just talked about it yesterday night, and so I'm going to be doing it tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern time. So if you're not in Canada, you might not be able to watch it because you might be sleeping. But please tune in at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, Toronto time, so we can all chat about this. Is it racism? Is it not racism? Are they lying? Is it the truth? We'll get to find out about that in our live chat. So thank you so much.
Don't get me started. We'll just do another 2 hours.
I know. So that's why we had to, because one of my friends said, you know what, invite me to your YouTube live. Let's talk this out because I can't type. I have a lot to say. I said, you got it. I'm going to put that down for tomorrow. So please, guys, come back. Join me tomorrow at 8:30 for another fantastic chat. Thank you so much, Chinelo. We really enjoyed this, and I hope to be able to steal you back to my channel some other time. So regards to everybody on your side. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you all for logging in.
So, hi, guys. Any questions? It's just me now. And by the way, I just wanted to give you a little sneak peek of myself behind. Do you think that's beautiful? Does it look like me? So I just got this a couple of days ago. I know you must have seen it on my channel, but I really love this stuff. It's really good. So thank you so much for everybody for joining this conversation. This was my first live ever, and it was fantastic. Chinelo is fantastic, and the funny part is this is the first time we're actually talking virtually. Before now, I haven't had the time, but I've followed her. I know you're still watching, but I've been sneaking into your LinkedIn. I'm seeing your blog, Meet My Busy Mind. And I was like, oh, wow, I have to, like, the first name that came to my mind when I thought about doing this live was Meg. And I had two people on my mind. One person was busy, and Chinelo just blew my mind when she said, I'm very tight. I have a very tight schedule, but I will try to make it work. And that was all I needed. And I just started right away getting everything together. And she's been fantastic. She's been supportive. So you guys, I forgot to ask her to give you guys her LinkedIn name, and also if you want to check blog out. I forgot to do that. If you're still watching, if you can leave that in the comment section, Chinelo, so that people can check out your blog, and they can also check out your Instagram. So thank you so much all for watching, and thank you Shireen, thank you Rita Onuoha, thank you Moyo Ayobami. I'm trying to see as many names as I can check out here, but some of them have gone far away. But thank you so much. If I didn't mention your name, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's just because the charts have gone all the way up. So Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for showing up for this event. And let's hope to chat again tomorrow. For there's going to be a fantastic one. If you have an opinion about Megan and Ari, thank you, everybody. Let's see tomorrow again. Bye.